This video is explaining about the effect of multiplying or dividing a number between 0 and 1. So I'll go through multiplication first and then go through division. Now I've got some steps written out here, you can see. First step is we multiply the numbers together and ignore the actual decimals in there. And then the second step is you add in the required number of decimal places. So if we have a look at here, I'll do it with these examples for you so you can follow along. Now, so I'm going to multiply these numbers together, ignore the decimals. So I'm going to do 20 multiplied by by 3. So 20 times 3 is 60. And then as that has one decimal place, there's no decimal place there. I'm going to add one decimal place to here, and the answer is just 6. Second one here, I've got 2.3 times 0.4. So what I'm actually going to do is 23 times 4, which is 92. And then what I've got here, I've got one decimal place there, one decimal place there. So that's 2 decimal places. So I add 2 decimal places in here. 1, 2, that's a 0 on the front. Now, we look at the third one here, 0.47 multiplied by 0.12. So you take it as 47 multiplied by 12. Now I did this earlier on, so I've got the answer, 564. Now, counting those decimals again, there's 1, 2 decimal places there. 1, 2 decimal places there. So in total I have 1, 2, 3, 4. That means this answer needs to have 4 decimal places. So I add them in, 1, 2, 3. Now I need a fourth one, so we put 0 in as the placeholder, and then we have our decimal there, so it's 0.0564. Now this example here, we're going to take it as 126 multiplied by 41. So once again, I've done this one earlier, so it's 5166, 5166. We multiply those numbers, and here we've got 1 decimal, 2 decimals there, 1 decimal there. So in the total I got 1, 2, 3 decimal places. So I'm adding in the required decimals, which is 1, 2, 3. So the answer is actually 5.166. All right, so below here, I've got some that I want you to give a go. So my advice is to pause the video and give it a go, and then I'll do the answers. All right, hopefully you paused it. If not, this is for your benefit. So I'll just do the answers quickly. First one, 3 times 6 is 18. And we got 1, 2 decimals, so 0.18. Next one, 1.3 times 0.7. 7 times 13 is 91. 2 decimal places, 0.91. And finally, 10.8 times 1.9, which is 108 times 19, actually gives us an answer of 2052. We've got 1, 2 decimal places, 20.52. All right, so that was multiplication. Now on to division. Now division is slightly different to multiplication. Well, obviously because it's division, but what we do here works different. What you've got to do is multiply both numbers by powers of 10. What I mean by that is by 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, million, and so on, until the second number, which is called the divisor, correct mathematical name, is an integer. So what I mean by that, 0.4 divided by 0.2, I multiply both of them by 10, for example. So it's 4 divided by 2 now, because they both be multiplied by 10. That would give me an answer of 2, as we all hopefully know. Say if I divided that by 100 instead, that will give me 40 divided by 20, which also gives me 2. If I multiplied that by 1,000, it'll be 400 divided by 200, which also gives me an answer of 2. So what that means, once you've made that second number an integer, your actual final answer doesn't need anything done to it. That is exactly what you should have once you've divided it. So that would still be 2. So now I've got a few examples before you have a go. So first of all here, I'm going to try this with 12 divided by 0.4. So that needs to be times by 10. So times it by 10 to make it 4. So that means I times that by 10 to make it 120. 120 divided by 4 is 30. So we know that answer there is 30. Okay. Here I've got 3.2 divided by 0.08. To make this an integer, I've got to multiply it by 100. So I know that. So that means I've got to multiply 3.2 by 100. So that gives me 320. 320 divided by 8. And that's an answer of 40. So for this as well, both 40. Now, next one, I've got 0.14 divided by 0.2. So I've got to make this an integer again. So I times that by 10 to make it 2. If I've done that, I've got to times this by 10. So that's going to be 1.4. So it's now 1.4 divided by 2, which you could use your division methods for this. You don't need to do it in your head. And that is 0.7. Now, final one of my examples, same thing again, 0.4, I've got to make it an integer, so I times it by 10 to make that 4. So I've got to times this one by 10 as well, 640 divided by 4. Now, if you do that, you should get an answer of 160, which is also the answer to 64 divided by 0.4. Nothing needs to be done to these answers once you've got them. That is it. So I've put here 3 for you to have a go. Once again, pause it is to help you. All right, hopefully you paused it. So let's have a look. First one should be 8 divided by 4, which gives you 2. So that is 2. Next one should be 3.6 divided by 9, which gives you 0.4, so that is 0.4. And final one should be, we got 8 there, 240. So 240 divided by 8, which is 30. So that means it is 30.